Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. The following predictions have implications for all of us, but may be of particular relevance to the psychologically attuned as well as to psychotherapists, counselors, and coaches. First, predictions related to COVID. As COVID variants have become more serious, from the original variant through Delta and now Omicron, and predicted in an article in Nature, more worrisome variants on the horizon, it appears that in 2022, COVID will have continuing, perhaps increased impact on our lives, practically and psychologically. Some examples: more isolation. Extroverts are going to be especially hit hard if, as predicted, new restrictions on gatherings will be imposed. That'll create a need for more counselors who specialize in coping with COVID isolation and COVID-related fears. That need for counselors will extend to couples counseling because being together more tends to bring on more strain. That was always the case when a couple retired, but it's now common in couples of all ages, as many of us are working remotely. Another implication of COVID for 2022 is AI companions. There is increasing impetus to develop AI companions beyond the current state of the art, which is quite good. For example, the Replika, it's Replika app. It's a customizable chatbot friend that feels of sufficient value to folks that it's garnered 179,300 reviews with an average rating of 4.6 on a 5-point scale. Another implication of COVID is there'll be more effective COVID messaging. Efforts to get people vaccinated, boosted, and socially distanced are going to become more sophisticated, better balancing social pressure, fear, and positive words to motivate people without too scaring them or making them rebel against the authority. Seeing such messaging in the media is going to filter down to how all of us try to get our friends to get vaccinated and boosted. Another implication of COVID for 2022, there'll be more nesting buying by apartment dwellers. Buying to feather one's nest already was increasing when COVID began, but now, with home prices ever more unaffordable, people are renting apartments, so there will likely be a boom in apartment nesting purchases. For example, indoor gardens, space-saving home office furniture such as a compact sit-stand desk, or the so-called floating desk, which doesn't actually float but folds against the wall. And of course, there's the ever less expensive big screen TV. You can now get a 55-inch high-def smart TV for under $400. Here are some predictions based on other factors. There'll be more distancing, and that's going to extend from the physical to the psychological, in the workplace and personal life. Why? More people are on edge not just because of COVID, but because of our political, racial, and gender polarization. People are ever more cautious in what they say and write. Joking is going to be ever more circumspect. A New Year's wish? It would seem that greater net good would accrue from the hyper-vigilant people turning down their amplitude a bit, while all of us do a better job of listening, really listening, to people whose views, while benevolently derived, are different from ours. Another possible prediction, is what I call all-in sadness. As was the case in the Soviet Union and in the Eastern Bloc and other communist countries, the diminution of the individual's importance in favor of the collective made many people feel unimportant, sad, and too often turned to alcoholism. In the U.S., there is an ever louder and pervasive drumbeat for collectivism, with phrases that are emblematic of that, of these catchphrases that are used all the time now, like all in, together, we not me, there's no I in team. While of course the collectivist ideal has appeal, under-considered is its potential to engender what I call all-in sadness. As with COVID isolation, all-in sadness could represent a specialty area for psychotherapists, counselors, and coaches. Another prediction is a shortage of skilled tradespeople. The well-publicized shortage of entry-level workers will likely extend to skilled tradespeople, those who, behind the scenes, manufacture and distribute the products we need. If you're one of the many soft-skilled people who are having difficulty landing a good white-collar job, your career prospects might improve if you pursued an apprenticeship and/or a community college program to become a skilled tradesperson. Another prediction: more K-12 schools will revert to remote teaching, which too often turns into remote non-learning. Already some school districts, for example, the D.C. area Prince George County schools, are reverting to remote instruction. Remote learning is very difficult for many students, especially those who would have trouble paying attention even in in-person classes. That should create opportunity for tutors to remediate and/or supplement school-based instruction. And finally, a final prediction that parents will rebel against college cost. This final prediction is a long shot, but it has surprised me that it hasn't already occurred. Increasing numbers of parents, perhaps joining in a class action suit or demanding cost control legislation, could finally rebel against college's impossibly high cost. College costs has become an increasing problem because of degree proliferation. The salary bump from getting a degree is decreasing as an ever higher percentage of high school graduates go on to college, and an ever higher percentage of bachelor's holders go to graduate school. The tipping point could be colleges' refusal to cut the price of tuition despite the lower costs of remote learning, and students having a harder time learning remotely, not to mention the lack of extracurricular opportunities. Takeaway, predictions are notoriously imperfect, but perhaps if you meld those that I've mentioned with your own, your decisions may yield greater practical and psychological well-being in 2022. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.